It had been nearly 3 minutes since baby E.J. was accidentally burned by hot cooking oil. His grandmother had wrapped him in wet towels and was trying to comfort him as the family waited for rescue workers to arrive. The first rescue workers arrived on the scene, including firefighter EMT Joe Lewis.
I find with myself that I can disassociate my feelings from most of the situations I'm involved with.
Where's the baby? In there.
But when children are involved, it affects me.
What happened? Oh, it got burned with oil.
The grease that was solidifying on his body was still warm to the touch, so we had to bring the temperature way down as fast as we possibly could.
I need a towel or a washcloth.
The blisters that had developed from the burn were enormous in size, and the weight of the towels had broken the blisters, and the skin was starting to slough off a little bit. I was shocked a little bit in looking at the condition that the scalding grease had done to his little body.
2 minutes later, paramedic Mike Crabb and his partner John Foster arrived.
While we were driving to the scene, we were trying to anticipate what we were going to find. We didn't know how bad a burn it was going to be. So John was telling me, I want you to just go in the house and get the baby and bring him out to me.
Where is he? Right in here, right in here.
The scariest moment was when the paramedic walked in and without saying a word, picked EJ up out of my lap and ran out of the house. I knew I had done my job, but I didn't know if EJ was going to live or die at that time.
EJ's parents arrived just as he was being carried to the ambulance.
We saw an ambulance and a fire truck, and we sunk back down again and thought, my God, my son is badly hurt. He could die.
Okay, Dad wants you in the back. You look hard. Mom wants you in the front.
EJ was surprisingly alert. He was crying. He said, Mommy, Daddy, owie, owie, owie is what he kept on saying. And we got into the ambulance, and the ambulance attendant, John Foster, asked me to hold EJ. Maybe he'd be calmer. And where do you hold somebody that hurts everywhere? You know, what do you do?
Mike handed me the child. I put the child in burn dressing. My heart went out to EJ the moment I saw him. I thought the baby could die since the severity of his burns were such that the rest of the treatment, like IVs, couldn't be accomplished because of those burns.
You'll be fine.
I felt very alone. I felt as if the whole world was watching me, and I felt that I was not doing enough for EJ as far as his burns go.
Reno has no burn center. EJ was airlifted to the University Medical Center in Las Vegas, 450 miles away, where he was treated by Dr. Terry Lewis.
EJ's burns were both second and third degree burns, and approximately 35% of his body surface area was burned. The thing that concerned us the first night was he did have a burn involving the face and the airway, so the potential loss of airway and suffocating from the swelling that can occur was the biggest concern in the first 24 hours.
The painful treatments became a twice-daily ritual for EJ for the next 6 weeks.
Helplessness was one of the major feelings that you have. To have your baby hurt and you can't help them. It's the worst feeling I've ever felt in my life. That was the hardest thing about the whole accident, was dealing with his pain and his struggle, knowing that I couldn't do it for him.
Good boy, good boy. He was an inspiration to everybody in the burn ward down there. Because once a key to survival is to get up and get your body going as soon as you can. And after about 4 days, he was limping down the hallway. He showed me a lot. Too many times when I've had a knee operation or a problem and I moaned and groaned about getting out of the bed when the doctors told me to do that. That'll never happen again. Because I've seen the ultimate courage and strength in what EJ did.
7 months later, EJ continues to improve. Based on what they've learned, his parents plan to form a local support group for the families of burn victims.
EJ today shows really no signs of him being in a traumatic accident. He's a happy, loving, intelligent, wonderful little boy. Just doesn't happen to have any hair on the side of his head.
With plastic surgery, most of EJ's scars on his head, back, and shoulders can be corrected. But his grandmother's emotional wounds are much deeper.
I think the hardest part for me right now is to look at my grandson and his mom and his dad. And I think I'm always looking where they might be blaming me for it all. I just never want to see that look in their faces. That's been the hardest part.
Since the accident, EMT Joe Lewis has become a family friend.
I would hope that she doesn't feel guilty about the accident. If there is a hero in this story anywhere, I'd have to say that the grandmother's a hero. Grandma took a second-degree burn to one of her hands, so she reacted quickly without regard to her own injuries and got him into the bathroom and cooled him down. If the proper care hadn't been administered from the initial onset and throughout his treatment, I would believe that the baby could have died.
The best thing that's come as a result of this accident is the fact that I really finally was forced to spend some time with one of my kids. I never really realized how important it was. Been involved with him, I felt a lot of pain with him, and I felt a lot of joy with him. Strongly encourage everybody to do that right from the start. Don't need an accident to make that happen.